In December 1998, in Broward County, Florida, a boater discovered a woman's body in a grassy area near a boat ramp off US 27. The female had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death. Unfortunately, no identification was found with her, and she would remain unidentified for the next 25 years. In 2023, her DNA was used with genetic genealogy to track down 3 sisters. One of them had been missing since August 1998, 3 months before the female's body was found. That sister's name was 41-year-old Eileen Trupner, a mother of 2 who had left her native Puerto Rico and moved to South Florida to take English classes. Eileen was described by her sister as a kind person with a good heart that would never hurt anyone. Sadly, Eileen began to battle severe depression after the birth of her second child and eventually lost custody of both children. Now that they had the victim's name, they got to work tracking down her killer, once again turning to DNA. They were able to link the killer's DNA to Lucius Boyd, who is currently on death row for the murder of Daunia DaCosta, a 21-year-old nursing student who was murdered approximately 2 weeks before Eileen. Daunia was on her way home to Deerfield Beach after attending church when her car ran out of gas on Interstate 95. After walking to a gas station and filling up her canister, she crossed paths with Boyd, who offered her a ride. After that, she was never seen alive again. When her body was found 2 days later, just like Eileen, she had been sexually assaulted and murdered. Boyd was the son of a funeral home director at James C. Boyd Funeral and was no stranger to the law. In 1993, he was charged with stabbing his ex-girlfriend's brother to death but was acquitted after claiming self-defense. Then, in 1998, Boyd was charged with sexual battery for allegedly holding a knife to a prostitute's throat and forcing her to perform a sex act in his truck. He was found not guilty of the crime. On November 29, 2023, Boyd was indicted for the murder and sexual battery of Eileen. Boyd is believed to be a serial killer, and it's possible more murder victims will be linked to him in the future. On December 30, 1985, human remains were discovered in a car over an embankment in Auburn, Washington. When investigators searched the area, they found a second set of human remains. Both victims could not be identified and were referred to as Bone 16 and Bone 17. In 2002, the Green River Killer admitted to killing 2 victims in this exact location, but didn't know their identification. In April of 2012, a person watching a documentary on the Green River Killer, aka Gary Ridgway, noticed a woman who resembled their cousin. So they contacted the authorities, and with the use of DNA, they were able to confirm the identification of Bone 16 as 20-year-old Sandra Majors, who went missing on Christmas Eve of 1982. Years would go by without the identification of Bone 17. Until finally, in 2023, with the assistance of Othram Labs, she was identified as 15-year-old Lori Ann Razpotnik. Lori was born in Alaska and was living in Washington when she ran away from home. Lori's mother, Donna, said she speculated over the years that her daughter could have been one of Ridgway's victims. Currently, the Green River Killer has been found guilty of 49 murders and is serving his life sentence at the Walla Walla State Prison. He's believed to have killed up to 65 or 70 people, and 2 of his known victims remain unidentified. Monica Ann Anderson was born to parents Bill and V. Arroyo on June 13, 1983, in Sacramento, California. In 2010, 26-year-old Monica was described as a loving person with a caring heart. At the time, she lived with 20-year-old Lan An Lee and worked at an O'Reilly Auto Parts store, where she had recently been promoted to manager. Monica and Lan had met through mutual friends and had been living together for about 6 months. Lan was one of 10 children raised by Vietnamese refugees in Sacramento. Unfortunately, she had a rough childhood and became addicted to drugs during her teenage years. She then met Monica shortly after turning 18, and the 2 quickly became close friends. On the night of March 13, 2010, Monica and Lan spent the evening drinking alcohol and snorting drugs. Around 2:30 a.m., an argument over a cell phone charger broke out inside the girl's bedroom. Monica attempted to flee the apartment, but Lon chased her with a butcher knife and stabbed her to death. Monica was sadly found with as many as 91 stab wounds. Lon then tried to turn the knife on herself, but a friend was able to intervene until the police arrived. Lon was taken into custody and admitted to the murder during a police interrogation. She was then charged with first-degree murder. Come to find out, this wasn't the first fight between the girls. Allegedly, months before Monica's murder, she told her parents that Lon had blindly attacked her, leaving her with multiple bruises and a black eye. In the end, Lan was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Monica Cassandra Carrasco was born to Catherine and Ramon Carrasco on December 13, 1986. When Monica was younger, she became a devout Christian and regularly attended church. She loved Bible studies, and by the age of 6, she was already volunteering to read scripture out loud to the congregation. Her nickname in middle school was Happy Happy because she always smiled and brought positivity to the room. Sadly, all that would change when her father suddenly passed away in 2001, when Monica was 14 years old. By 2003, 16-year-old Monica had spent the last 2 years depressed and suffering from anorexia, which led to severe weight loss. Her mother became so concerned that she had her admitted to the hospital. Monica was extremely upset at her mother for doing that and decided to move in with her Aunt Velma and Uncle Abel once she was out. On October 1st, 2003, at 11 p.m., Monica headed off to bed. A few hours later, her cousins checked on her and she was still asleep. The next morning, her aunt got up and started cooking breakfast. By 7:30 a.m., when her aunt went to check on her, Monica was gone. They initially thought she might have gone for a run, but soon realized that her Bible was missing, but her socks, shoes, and other belongings were still in the house. This means Monica was most likely left barefooted. It wasn't hard for Monica to get out of the house because she had a door in her bedroom that led directly outside, and it was found unlocked after she went missing. When the police were notified, they began searching on foot, horseback, four-wheeler, and even by air, thinking maybe she just got lost. However, after covering a 10-mile radius around Lake Balmorhea, there was still no sign of her. Her family believes she was disoriented due to her medications, left the house, and caught a ride with someone. Investigators then learned that Monica had been allegedly harassed by her school bus driver. She didn't report it, but was so uncomfortable with the situation that she refused to ride the bus again. However, he was eventually cleared of involvement in her disappearance. Unfortunately, she wasn't going to school anyway because her psychiatrist had recommended she stay home until she got better. After her case was picked up by the 18-Wheel Angels campaign, which consists of truckers who post missing persons flyers around the country, there were reports of a female resembling Monica being seen with an older truck. However, the sighting has never been confirmed. As of 2023, Monica has never been found, and this case remains unsolved. In 2021, 23-year-old Roxana Ruiz was a single mother to a young son, living in Nezahualcóyotl, Mexico. This area of Mexico is known for its high rate of female murders. In May of 2021, Roxana was working selling French fries when she met a local boy named Sinai Cruz. Then, one day after working, Cruz joined Roxana and one of her friends for a drink. Afterward, he offered to walk her home, to which she agreed. After arriving at her home, he asked to stay the night because it was late and his home was quite a distance away. So Roxana agreed to let him sleep on a mattress on the floor. Unfortunately, this was the biggest mistake of her life. During the night, Cruz climbed onto her bed, hit her, tore off her clothes, and began sexually assaulting her while threatening to kill her. Roxana wasn't having it and decided to fight back. She hit him in the nose, causing him to bleed. After that, she grabbed a nearby t-shirt and strangled him to death. In a panic, she stuffed Cruz's body in a bag and dragged it out to the street. Unfortunately for her, police passed at the same time and caught her in the act. After being arrested, she explained that she was just defending herself, but the cops blamed her for the whole ordeal, saying she most likely instigated sex but then changed her mind. Roxana was then sentenced to 6 years in prison and ordered to pay more than $16,000 in restitution to Cruz's family. This caused a huge public outcry in Mexico from citizens who were fed up with the mistreatment of women in the country. Due to this, the prosecutors dropped the case against her and finally admitted that she did act in self-defense. Based on government data, nearly half of Mexican women have experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. The judge on the case, Monica Osorio, had the nerve to tell Roxana that she would have been better off hitting her attacker instead of choking him with a shirt. Sherry Wakesee Black was born in Provo, Utah, on October 14, 1946. She grew up in Orem and attended Orem High School, where her love of books began. Sherry's parents owned a bowling alley, and she loved to bowl and even participated in multiple competitive leagues. It was in the leagues that she met and fell in love with Earl Black. Sherry and Earl would marry and have 2 children together, Jason and Heidi. Sadly, 18-year-old Jason died in 1989 from an accidental gunshot. In 2010, 64-year-old Sherry and Earl were living in Salt Lake City, Utah, where she ran a small bookstore named B&W Collector Books and Billiard Supply on her property. Sherry was described as quiet, unassuming, kind, and friendly. She knew books, and she was successful at what she did. After Jason passed, she became more interested in collecting rare books. On November 30, 2010, Earl came home from a meeting mid-morning and made a horrific discovery. He found Sherry sexually assaulted, beaten, and stabbed to death. The murder weapon was a pair of scissors found near her body. Investigators also found a bloody ladder, a broken antique orange knee-high bottle, and a men's Armani exchange belt. None of those items belonged to the Black family. However, the most promising evidence was the blood, a partial fingerprint on a bookshelf.